All right, everybody, it's Memba here, back at you with another video. This time we're going to be talking about the Fatal Fury beta and giving my thoughts and opinions on the gameplay and the beta overall, and just what I think about the game and everything. So, just as a disclaimer, guys, a warning: I already made a video today. This is actually my second attempt at recording, and after I was practically finished editing the first video I made, I realized it was like a failure. I didn't really like what I made, especially after I gave it some more thoughts. And I thought about, the prior video that I was making. After I gave it some more thought, I realized that I don't like it, and I'm just gonna just do something a lot more simpler, which is just provide commentary over gameplay, over some Fatal Fury gameplay, and just, you know, give my whole thoughts on the beta as quickly as possible, as quickly and concise as possible, so that way I don't waste too much of your time. Okay, so without further ado, let me just get into it. Now, let me talk about the actual beta and what I experienced with Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Um, I, me personally, I didn't have an issue with like the menu or like the main menus itself. I thought the main menu actually looked nice and looked beautiful. Um, a lot of people were saying that like the the main menus feel unresponsive because apparently there's like some sort of like it has like it responds to negative edge instead of just responding to you pressing the button. It responds to you releasing it, which I didn't even realize that. So that's very interesting. Um, to me, I did not realize that in the menu. So if that is the case, then that is pretty bad. Um, and that's something that SNK would have to fix when upon releasing the game. And just as a reminder, as a game releases in 2 months. So today is February 23rd. The beta is actually still going on. There's one more day after today, and they have 2 months to fix this. Let's see what else do. What else could I? What's the next thing I could talk about? The let's talk about the. We already mentioned the menus. Oh, the load times. There are load times in the game. It does make the game feel a little less slow and unresponsive because of the fact that there's a little bit of a lengthy loading time when it comes to opening up certain menus, which I could understand why some people have an issue with that. I didn't have too much of an issue. I'm not sure if it's because of the type of hardware I was running for my PC, but the load times didn't feel that bad. It could have been like it was like slightly annoying, but it didn't really feel that bad. It wasn't that big of a deal to me, but I could understand some people, maybe they don't have as good with hardware, maybe they're running it on console or even a PS4. So so if that's the case, when you take all that in consideration, the complaint makes sense. Moving on, I think the music in the game sounds great. SNK always did a good job with making, you know, good songs and good soundtracks to their fighting games. I enjoy listening to SNK's soundtrack. I have a lot of their songs, a lot of their albums from their games, a lot of the game soundtracks saved on Spotify, and I listen to it every now and then. So I do enjoy their music at all. Fatal Fury is definitely Fatal Fury City the Wolves, I should say, is definitely going to be another soundtrack I'm going to enjoy a lot. Even the menu theme, I really like the menu theme actually. I think the menu theme is very nice and cozy, and it definitely sounds like a menu theme where you just want to sit there and just chill, you know. But moving on to the next point that I want to talk about. The next point I want to talk about is the matchmaking. Now, before I say anything about the matchmaking, right? I did not play a single game of ranked. I did not play any casual matches. Let me just say this, I did not play with any randoms because I heard that the matchmaking was not that great for the beta, for the beta test, and that deterred me from playing any ranked matches or anything. It made me feel a little uncomfortable about playing ranked matches because I wanted to. I was excited about playing Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. The game. From a presentation perspective, from looking at all the announcement trailers and looking at all the various different clips and trailers that SNK was putting out on YouTube and even on Twitter. The game looked fun. It looked promising. It got me excited to get my hands on the game, and I didn't want the matchmaking to ruin how I felt about the gameplay, so I avoided that. And I went to play a room match with a friend that was a few states away from me. They were about 3 to 4 hours away from me. And the online felt good. The netcode itself felt good when it was working, right? For the most part. But there were a couple of hiccups while we were playing in the middle of our sets. There were a couple of hiccups where we would just get disconnected. One of us would drop out of the lobby. It was mainly me. I would just drop out of the lobby for whatever reason, even though the ping read around like 30 ms, I believe, like 30 to 40 ms, if I remember correctly. What was interesting about that is that even though it was about like 30 ms, it still gave us like a roll, 2 frames of rollback. But we didn't really have much rolling back. There might have been like a couple of stutters over the like 3 hours that we played, but it wasn't really that big of an issue. But I assume that other players, people that were queuing up against randoms, against various different players across the country and around the world, they're probably experiencing a lot of issues. A lot of people actually had a hard time just connecting to somebody else. It was taking minutes. I think someone said it took them like 30 minutes to connect to people. It was bad. It was real bad for a good amount of people, and that's a shame because I think the gameplay is very promising. I think the gameplay is great. Um, for 1v1 SNK, or for a 1v1 fighting game made by SNK, I think that's great. This game is filled with mechanics to the brim. It's difficult, but I'll get into that in a second. I'm still talking about the matchmaking. But the matchmaking is wow. Like I said, I didn't experience anything personally, but I've seen some videos, I've seen some clips, and I can understand it. Like the matchmaking needs to be fixed. It's a problem, and there's only 60 days to do it before the game releases. And honestly, I wasn't really thinking about the game being delayed, but after like looking at some other opinions about other opinions from other players' experiences, right? I do think the game should be delayed by maybe a couple of months because honestly, I at first I think launching a open beta test for a fighting game 2 months before release, or for just for any game, launching an open beta test 2 months before the actual official release of the game is kind of cutting it close. Especially if you're going to stress test the online, have players download this free version of the game and do a stress test of the online functionality. If something goes wrong, 60 days may seem like a lot of days, but for a game company like that to ensure that the online capabilities are smooth and and functional for the entire world is it's a big project, man. It's a huge project. So 60 days is not really that that much time to really get that situated. If SNK released a beta back in December or November, then maybe they would have some more time to be able to actually remedy this issue, right? But now that they only have 2 months to fix it, now guys, that's crunch time, man. That's cutting it close. It's real cutting it close, man. But we'll see what they can do. If the game does get delayed, I think that would be good. A delayed game is can never be bad, or at least it's not supposed to be bad. But hopefully they figure something out. I have what's the word I'm looking for? I have high hopes for SNK, and I really just don't want this game to turn into a KOF 15 issue where the game is great, everything about the game that makes it a game is great, but everything else surrounding that game at launch was just not that good. Well, not everything. I should say mainly was the matchmaking. The matchmaking itself was not good, and it took a while for them to fix the matchmaking. And even then, it's still not the best, but it's definitely better than it was when the game first dropped. And I don't want Fatal Fury City of the Wolves to have that same issue that KOF 15 did. Not at all, because I really enjoy SNK's games, especially now that I've been putting more time into it. So I want to see them do well as a developer. Now, what else can I talk about? The the gameplay. I mean, but if without saying too much about the characters, I think the gameplay itself is it's fun. It's a fun game. It really is a fun game. For me personally, you, for me personally, a lot of the things that you do in the game feel really satisfying. The feint canceling, the special move breaks in the middle of combos, and kind of like using like with certain characters, you can whiff some moves in order to extend the combo and whatnot. It's really fun, guys. Some people say about the games like Street Fighter Six. I don't agree with them at all. I put a lot of time into Street Fighter Six, guys. I have a lot of hours in that game. This game does not feel anything like Street Fighter Six. In some aspects of the gameplay they share, like there's some similarities that they share, but the overall feel and fluidity of the game is nothing like Street Fighter, especially not Street Fighter 6. um I remember another one of my friends said that the pacing of the game feels like Street Fighter 4. I can see that, but then again, I wasn't really that great at Street Fighter 4 to really recognize what that pacing was, because at that time I was really bad at fighting games. I was like my early days of fighting games, playing Street Fighter 4 and Ultra Street Fighter 4. But the mechanics in the game are a little similar to 6, but that's really it. And even then, not all the mechanics are similar. It's really just the rev system is kind of similar to the drive system, but I think it's more fair, honestly. And there's a lot more thought put into the rev system. Not saying that the drive system doesn't have any thought put into it, but what I mean is there's more. The rev system is more fair on the attacking and defending side. Like for like one big thing about the rev system in Fatal Fury compared to the drive systems, that Rev Blow, which is Fatal Fury's version of Drive Impact, right? Even if you are burnt out, or you're overheated, I should say, even if you're overheated in this game, which is the same thing as being burnt out in Street Fighter 6, you still have a way to deal with the Rev Blow. There's a dodge attack in the game, so you can still react to it. You're not a sitting duck if you're in the corner, you know, just sitting there just waiting to get hit by, get hit by a rev blow, and then you get cooked for it. It's there's still a way to avoid it besides just burning bar and burning a super that you might not be able to really react with, because it's kind of hard to react to a move like that with super. You can just use your dodge attack, which I think is pretty cool, and I really enjoy that a lot, honestly. But yeah, the gameplay feels fluid once you get used to it. Not as fluid as KOF. KOF fluidity is something different, man. That game feels really smooth. But this game still feels smooth, but just not as much as KOF. If you're expecting it to play like KOF, it's not gonna play like KOF. This is the Fatal Fury game. All right, this is like a sequel to Garo Mark of the Wolves, and originally like those games were are more Fatal Fury type games, the games that Terry is from. All right, um, but yeah, man, I like everything. I really like the Rev Excel canceling, how you can chain together Rev Arts, which I think is awesome. Which is that game's EX moves, EX specials. I think that adds a little bit more variety and a little bit more expression for the player, which is really fun. And it's just fun to press buttons in that game. It is really fun to press buttons in that game. It's very satisfying. Now the game is difficult, but I mean, what fighting game isn't difficult when you're first trying to learn it, you know? But this is definitely one of the harder fighting, one of the more difficult fighting games compared to others. So I that is something that you're going to have to be aware of. And I'm saying a warning right now, man. If I wouldn't recommend this as a first fighting game, honestly, even though they did do some things to make the game more accessible for new players. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this as a first fighting game. But if you really want to get into it, that's fine, man. I'm that's fine. Do whatever you got to do. And the only reason I say that is because the execution just seems a little bit more strict compared to previous modern fighting games. But yeah, the gameplay is great though. I love it a lot. I was having a blast. As you can see, I played a lot of matches. I was getting cooked really hard by my friend like that. Kind is a problem, man. Kind is a problem. I think Kind is gonna be a scrub killer in the game. I was having a hard time fighting Kind for the first time, but after I got a feel for the matchup and me and my friend were talking about the matchup, things started to get a little bit easier, and I'm starting to see some things. But that was literally like my first time playing against the character, and like I said, it's the beta. It's I Nobody knows what they're doing in the beta, but that's but yeah, man. If you guys have a chance, I would recommend playing, trying out the beta. But like I said, the matchmaking isn't really that great. I would recommend playing with a friend that lives close by you, maybe a state away or so, or a couple states away, and just play them. Um, if you're going to try it out. But I think for now, I'm probably done with the beta. I might mess around for a few more hours, but I'm probably not going to really play too much on the last day of the beta just because um, I can't really match up with many randoms with many of the various people. I'll probably just go back to KOF 15 or play something else until the game drops within the next 2 months. It's only 2 months away. Unless they decide to delay it, they could delay it. They could delay. I wouldn't be mad at that either. But eh, um, but to sum everything up, the game is great. The game is a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's definitely a learning curve, but it feels very satisfying once you do learn how to do things and once you pick things up and you start putting the puzzle pieces together. The matchmaking and the menus, they gotta fix that, man. They gotta fix the load times. They gotta fix how the UI works a little bit. And that's pretty much it, guys. I didn't want to make this too long, but it is an eight. I've been talking for about 18 minutes. Hopefully, I won't have to cut out too much, but that's just my impressions on the game. Like I said, I was gonna try to keep this a little shorter, but the video that I tried to make before, it just didn't work out. So I'm just gonna do something a little simpler. Like I said, commentary over gameplay and just leave it at that. And that's how it's gonna be. If that's not interesting to people, I'm sorry. I felt like I still had to get something out there just to give my thoughts and opinions on the game. So that's just how it's gonna be. Oh, okay, y'all. I mean, that's that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. What do you think about Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves? What do you think about the beta? Do you think oh yeah, do you think the beta should have training mode? I mean, they probably should. I don't necessarily need it for the beta itself, but I can understand why some people would want a beta to, practice a few things before they go online and play. But I can understand that. Whether we get training mode in a beta, in an open beta or not, even though like despite it being like just a stress test for online, whether we get training mode or not, I'm okay. But I feel like for everybody else, maybe we should have a training mode just so everybody can just get a feel for the game in the training room before hopping online. But that's pretty much it, y'all. I hope you enjoyed the video. Tell me what you think in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.